Hey guys, I made a video the other day which was talking about advanced sexual techniques and things you can do like within sex to make that a lot of guys don't do anyway, and things that I don't really hear anybody else talking about, which I think could help a lot of guys. But I had a question on it, which was, what would you recommend to like a first timer or an experienced guy as far as having sex goes? And yeah, I already made a video that kind of dealt with some of these things, but I'll get right down to the basics, okay, on this video. Because yeah, some guys who aren't experienced, and you might watch porn and things, and like, yeah, sometimes porn can give you a good idea of what to do, but like there's no description, right? So you want a description on what to do. Well, here it is. So essentially, there's sex, you can break it down into at least 5 different parts, okay? First is like the preliminary, like what happens before like even sex happens, which ideally you need to be put together with a girl, sitting at least beside them, legs touching, hands holding hands, arm around them, some kissing, cuddling, right? That's the preliminary, okay? Next is like it transitions into a make-out scenario, or like more kissing, French kissing their neck. Touching then changes, so this could be touching erogenous zones, but not even, like back of the neck, the top of their ass, the ass in general, inside of their leg. And a lot of guys, this is why this is for beginners, because a lot of beginners don't do this, okay? And this is what's going to lead into actual sexual acts, because we're not even doing anything sexual yet, okay? But touching the inside of the leg, very good one, like inner thigh, and caressing their back of their head, grabbing their ass, the waist. Like if you're making out with them, say they're on like the left side of you, and you're making out with them, like hold them by like the waist or stomach below the breast, and then you can like go up, so you're like touching the bottom of the breast but without grabbing it. And that's kind of like, these are like the transitions where you do that for a few minutes while you're kissing them, where you're essentially touching the bottom of the breast, and eventually you can touch their breast, okay? It's not like you just right off the bat go straight in for a titty grab, right? You can, if you're with a girlfriend, you can do that. But like, I'm laying the process down. You want this? I'm laying the process down because it's these types of things that the beginner guys overlook or don't think about, right? You're thinking maybe about the end result, which is like the penetration and things like that, which I'll get into. But I have to get this out of the way. What's leading up before anything sexual happens, okay, is like, it could be the Netflix and chill situation. It could be, sitting beside them on a beach, with their arm around them, So I've got that out of the way, okay? Now, it transitions to you touch their actual sexual organs or breasts or both. Okay? And generally, I would recommend doing that while they're still clothed first, like over their clothes. So, it goes from like touching the inside of their leg, and then your hand gradually goes up and just like kind of caresses their vagina area, the area, without like going too hard at it. Like you're just like you could even just put your hand on their pussy and like not do anything. It's just on there, right? You could be, And then what you can also do is, because men are the one who like lead the whole sexual experience or like guide it. So what you can do at this point is literally guide their hand onto like your crotch area too, right? And things like that, without like, have it so take their hand and put it right on my lap, right on my dick, okay? While you're kissing them, while you're doing things like that. It doesn't mean, don't pull your dick out necessarily at this point in time, but you're getting them at least touching it, right? And at this point in time, if you're going to face any type of resistance, well, it could be resistance when you put your hand on their private parts, that they might back off. And in which case, you got to take a step back, but then just continue with kissing. Continue with the other safe touching areas, right? And then eventually you can maybe take another step forward again after a minute or 2 or 3 or 5, and then they might not resist after that. But if they keep resisting, at a certain point, it's like, okay, you just maybe just stick to making out that time. If you're like especially if you're a teenager listening to this, you know what I mean? The girls might not be ready to move that fast. So essentially, it goes from touching private parts on top of clothes to, I think the next one would be, would this be like a second base or something? Like, it would be actually touching their breast below their bra. So it would be like, move their bra to the side and essentially touch their nipples and hold their breast, or do something like that, right? And remove their bra or remove the shirt. It also could be, you can start removing their pants or shorts or whatever they're wearing, like unbutton it and unzip it, and then if you can get it, if they're not resisting, then essentially take off both their shorts and their panties at the same time. That's what I do normally. And then once you get it past they're sitting like past their sit, then it's really easy to remove it. Just don't be like you're removing it too fast or too hard. And then you'll have her naked right there, right? And so the safe thing to do now is to essentially touch her pussy a little bit. Don't go too crazy, like, especially, this is for, again, the first timers and things, right? Or really beginners level. So I wouldn't go too crazy touching their pussy, but like, just caress it. Just like, put your fingers on it, on their clit, while still kissing them, potentially, or not. But just like do like little circular motions on their clit, you know what I mean? Just like touch the outside of their pussy lips. Like, don't start finger jamming them necessarily at this point. It's just getting them kind of warmed up and used to the touch. And around this point, you can also remove your pants and get naked yourself. And I wouldn't, if you're a first timer, do any type of oral necessarily. She might to you, but I wouldn't do oral on her first time. So at this point in time, you're both naked and you should be in a comfortable place on a couch or in bed at this point. So the safe, again, this is all safe for first timers, is you got to get on top of them in a missionary position, and she'll probably guide your dick into her. But if you want to do it yourself, you don't go from back to into her vagina, like the direction of her ass to her vagina. You go from the direction of her pelvic bone, clit down to her opening of her vagina, because you don't want to accidentally poke her in the ass. Okay, that happens. Trust me, especially when it's dark and things. It's like, she'll be like, and then that's my ass. But then she'll guide it in. Like, usually it's okay, but it can make it like a awkward thing, right? So you don't want to be poking her in the ass necessarily. So you slide it in, preferably with lube, but if it's not, then you just got to be gentle at first. Get it in like maybe halfway at first, and then put it in all the way, and then like don't just start like fucking hard at this point, but like just go in and out kind of slowly. And because she might, especially if she's inexperienced herself, it might be like at first a little uncomfortable if you start going too hard or deep or something. So she's just getting used to your dick inside of her at this point. And look at her in the eyes, maybe kiss her a little bit at this point too, and like smile, and and just be gentle at first. within about 2 minutes of that, you can increase the pace a little bit, like shift into second gear, so to speak, of the rhythm and deepness. A little bit deeper, a little bit of a rhythm, so it'd be something like this. So it's not even like, not hard or not fast, but it's just getting a pace going a little bit. And the important thing where I should mention this is, you don't want to change pace a lot at this point. You don't want to go fast, slow, fast, slow, fast, slow, like all over the place in front of speed. It would just be, it's like too jolting, and it's just too weird, right? And once you have the same rhythm for like at least 30 seconds to a minute, there's this like reflexive effect that starts happening for her, which that's when she'll start getting into it. And then at that point, you can increase the speed and even deepness a little bit more. So it's like, it goes like this. I explained this in my other videos. Gradual increase in speed, then you bring it down, the speed down a little bit. That could be when you change position. So it could be like you change from missionary position to like another type of missionary position where you're more upright. You know what I mean? At that point, you might slow down a little bit and then gradually pick up the speed. Then you might, what I would recommend after that is getting her in a doggy style position. Again, starting from your dick down by her pelvic bone, move up into her vagina, not ass down to her vagina, because again, you might poke her in the ass. And then once it's inside her, again, slow, but then gradually increase speed. And doggy style is a pretty safe one where you can actually increase speed and pick up the pace a little bit more. And for first time, if you're just first timer, I would just work with the missionary and doggy style position. And two things might happen. You might be a guy who comes right away, or you might not come at all because it's your first time and like you're used to jerking yourself off. You're not used to fucking a chick and having to come inside of her. So if you don't come the first time, like, don't stress about it. Just, if you're wearing a condom, like, pretend that you do or something, or like just like do it for like 10 minutes, 20 minutes, and then afterwards don't like go like too long, prolong it, because and then it's your first time. You're more likely to do something or like make it awkward or something. Just be real with you. So like, don't do it too long your first times. 10-20 minutes at most 20 minutes, and then and then afterwards cuddle beside her, kiss her a bit, and smile, and be nice with her, right? And that's where a real connection could happen. You know what I mean? And if it might be that you only dated her 1 or 2, 3 times, so this is a good potential time for you guys to kind of connect, and there's like an energy exchange that happens, and you can tell her how much you really like her at that point. It's really nice. That'd be a nice thing to do after sex. It's not just like you all of a sudden like don't talk or anything. That'd just be weird, or you like just like, okay, bye, and then go home or something, right? That'd be weird too. So it's like, or kick her out. Like, okay, see you, get out of my house. Yeah, don't do that. So hang out for a bit afterwards, at least half hour, at least, or stay over, and then just tell her how much you really enjoyed your time with her and things. Like, that's the after part of sex, like the whole process. There's the before part, there's the before preliminary, then there's the foreplay. Talked about that. Again, don't go too crazy into foreplay right off the bat. Like, maybe above the clothes more, and maybe like when you remove her clothes or remove your clothes, like guide her hand on your dick, and maybe she can like touch your dick a little bit. But like, don't like spend too much time in the foreplay stage, at least at this point. And then get into the sex, which is insertion, penetration, gentle sex for a bit, just gently in and out, nothing too crazy, too deep, for about 2 minutes, and then pick up the pace a little bit, and then switch to like a doggy style, and then pick up the pace a little bit more without going too hard or too crazy. Especially if you have a big dick, then if you go too deep, you can like poke her, essentially her cervix. That's happened to me before, and that can hurt her. So be gentle, and just stay present, and make like sounds, like nothing too crazy, but like make sounds that you're like enjoying it, and saying things like, oh yeah, like, and things like that. And say like little grunts and things once in a while is good, okay? And like another thing I should mention is what you do with your hands is like, especially like in something like like missionary position, you can like hold her up by her head a little bit, or like shoulders a bit. And when you hold her, like kind of be a little bit firm in like you're like holding her, okay? But nothing like you're not squeezing her hard or anything. And then with like a doggy style position, like hold her firm on like around her waist, or on the back of her neck or something, like, or a shoulder area, like hold the shoulders like firm while you're fucking it. And when you pick up the pace a little bit, like as the pace increases, you can like be a little bit more firm and like take control, and you're the one who guides her. So like after say missionary, like you get up and then you tell her to turn over, and then hold her, and then you put it inside her, and then just keep, and then so like you're the one who's like dictating what's going to happen, and like controlling the sex, like you're leading. This is I think something that a lot of guys trip up on, is like they don't guide it, and it make it awkward, and then the girl kind of has to do things, and it's like, I don't know. I know that I did that kind of mistake in the past, so that's why I'm sharing it with you guys. Like, as you become more experienced, like the guys are the one who's like, you know, taking her from being on top to like put her down, lay her down, like it's almost like sometimes not being aggressive, but like, you know, like taking her and putting her down and doing things like you're literally like picking her up and pushing her down and things at that point. I wouldn't recommend doing that, especially when you're just started dating a girl. But like, yeah, you can be a bit forceful too sometimes, and that's okay too. Especially when you're actually like partners at that point. So that's the basics. Like, I know it's like I didn't say anything that's like groundbreaking necessarily here, but I'm just laying it down for the guys, because I got asked for a first timer or inexperienced guy, this is what to do. I recommend watching my other video, How to Make a Woman Come 101, and then my advanced kind of theory, if you want to gain a further understanding. But if a guy just follows what I just laid out here, there's no reason why it can't be a good experience for both of you, okay? And not an awkward one for a first timer or an experienced guy, because maybe you had sex once or twice or a handful of times, and you didn't really know what you were doing, or it wasn't good. So let me know in the comments what your thoughts are on this, and is there something I missed? I'm sure I could have covered a few more things, but for the sake of just keeping it so it's something that can be easily digested for guys, I think I covered everything I wanted to. Okay, so let me know what your thoughts are. If you have any comments or questions, leave down below. Okay, thanks for watching, guys. Peace.